I'm making lei today, and it's some unconventional material, so I thought I would record some of the process and see if it might help anybody with whatever materials you have available. May Day is Lei Day in Hawaii on May 1st. We're celebrating Lei Day, and just because you might not have all your normal lei making materials available to you right now, it doesn't mean that you can't participate. So, as a lot of you know, I recently just moved to New Zealand, and I am still waiting for all of my supplies to come through from the United States. It's literally sitting in a pallet. It's been shipped over. It's sitting in Auckland. It's past customs. It's past all of everything, and it's just waiting. Now that we're in level 3, it can be shipped over, but I still have to wait for it. But it's got all my stuff on it, which is frustrating because I literally have nothing. I don't have my pa'u skirts, I don't have my pareo, I don't have my costumes, I don't have my books, and I don't have all my like craft materials either. But my Ori sisters with Te Honui, we're going to do a May Day, Lei Day video, and so we want to do something for it, and so I just decided to challenge myself, see what I could find. Over here in New Zealand, we're doing really, really well. We're in level 3, just stepped back from level 4, and things are going well, but all of our craft stores and things like that are still closed. So I don't have the option of just going down. Normally, I make most of my lei from either raffia or yarn, especially for the base. If I'm just making a lei bili, which is a wrapped, like a lashed lei, then that's usually what I make it out of. It provides a really inexpensive and nice, strong base. But I don't have access to those materials right now. So I just went to the grocery store to see what I could find, and I think this is going to be kind of entertaining, and we'll see if it works. And if it works, then you'll see it. And if it doesn't work, maybe I just won't post this video. So basically what I look for when I'm making my a base is, I'm just going to make a lei po'o. I'm just going to make a head lei to make it simple. So I was trying to think of something that I could, usually I braid. Normally if it's raffia, it's like 10 pieces of raffia, or like 12 divided into three strands, and then I just braid that together. That's usually about strong enough for what I want and not too thick. Or if I do yarn, it's usually like, it depends on what flowers I'm using, because if the flowers are bigger, then you need like I use like a bigger base. But you know, it doesn't need to be super thick, so but nice and strong. And so you just braid a bunch of pieces of yarn together, usually green, or yeah, that's usually what I do. So I was trying to come up with something that would approximate that, and this is my solution. We're doing leggings. Leggings? Yeah. Pantyhose. Alright. So we're going to try these pantyhose out and see if we can use a base for that. I also needed something for the lashing, which again, usually it's either raffia or yarn. The best thing I could find, which I think this is going to work pretty well, is gardening twine. So I just found this in the gardening section. Yeah, so nice basic colors, I hope, which we'll see. I thought about dyeing this stuff, but I was like, girl, you're not going to dye anything. Don't. The sheer is fine. Alright, so what I'm thinking is, and I might need to cut it, but because I'm like, it's strong, I know it's stretchy, but when I do the wrapping, when I wrap around it, it's going to take away some of the stretchiness, which is a good thing, because I don't think I want all that stretchiness, you know? I got the extra long. Should go around my head, right? Like that. And there's enough to tie? Yeah, so we're long enough. Okay, so I'm gonna, I'm gonna leave it. I was thinking I would need to cut this in half, but this is, because it's thicker than normally I would make a base out of, but I'm just gonna leave it. But I'm gonna cut the leg off of there. And then, alright, cool, we got a base. We didn't even have to braid anything. Okay, let's see. I got some flowers at the store. These are the ones that were just available to me. Look how pretty they are. Again, I haven't been here for very long. I'm not trying to go up in people's gardens, obviously, and the the flower markets are just obviously not open right now. So we do what we need to do. We don't let that stop us. We're gonna make our lei. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break down these flowers. When you're picking your flowers from a limited selection, just try and see if you can get flowers that have a pretty strong attachment to the stem, because you don't want it to just be popping off the stem all the time. You want to be careful. So you want flowers that kind of like hold up nicely with this. That's what I look for, at least. And then also save the leaves, because again, right now I'm just making do with what I have. I don't have access to tea leaves. I haven't really found a source for tea leaves here, which is a bummer. But that's just so far, because they don't really grow. They don't really grow well here. So I know that some people have them. I don't really have a good source for them. So we'll have to figure that out at some point, because obviously. But normally I will use the leaves as support for this. Again, I'm in a place where, I don't have access to a million different kinds of whatever flowers that I want. I'm just kind of using what I have. But you can create something really beautiful with just whatever you have. It's not necessary to have these very, very specific things. Make lei out of whatever is around you, But I am going to keep these leaves, because these leaves, especially like these ones, are a nice size. So these can help support the flowers that are around them when you wrap them together. All right, so now I'm going to break down a bunch of these flowers. Oh, they smell nice. I wish you could smell these. Pretty, huh? Yeah. I'm going to cut a little bit of a ways down. I like to give myself a lot of space. This ends up giving me like a thicker lei po'o than probably a lot of people want the smaller ones, like the thinner ones. And yeah, those are nice, but these flowers are kind of big for that. So, again, we're going to be big, fabulous lei po'o. I like to cut them down like this, leaving that much left so that I have plenty to wrap against the base, and it also ends up making it really strong. I just like to kind of lean on the side of cutting a little bit longer than I need, as opposed to if you cut like right here, then you have nothing to lash the flower to the base to. So give yourself stem there. So I'm going to cut a whole bunch of these. It's always kind of an interesting thing when I'm using flowers that I haven't used before, because you learn every time you make lei is a learning process, or every time I make lei at least. You learn a little bit about the flowers that you're using. You learn what they are, how to care for them, how to make the lei last longer, where to put them in the fridge, all those different kinds of things you learn, and it's kind of specific to each flower. So just try to pick flowers that are kind of strong and all that, and again, get some leaves ready for you to use. Okay, I'm going to cut some flowers. You want to be careful with flowers like this, because they tend to close up sometimes when it's cold. But they didn't really close up too much last night. Like they're open. See? So hopefully they'll stay that way. But like yesterday when I bought them, they were completely flat and open. But it's been kind of chilly here, so this poor little guys got cold. Sorry, babies. Okay, so I have my base here, my goofy little base, and I've got my twine here. I'm leaving it on the ball because it's just a lot easier to have than having to guess how much you need and then cut a piece off. So if you have it in one long piece, or if like it's a big thing of yarn or something, just try and leave it together. What I'm going to start by doing is tying a knot around this base, leaving enough on there that I can tie it. This is really stretchy, so it gives me all that amount to tie. But if you're not using something that's so stretchy, then make sure you give yourself like a good 6 inches. You just want to err on the side of like making your life easier, right? So I just tied it twice. And then just to kind of create like that strong base here, I'm going to wrap it around a few times. I'm wrapping it around. Ugh, these pantyhose are already annoying. Okay. All right. I can already tell it's going to be difficult to keep this nice and tight, but that's okay. That's okay. We're doing it anyway. Okay. Okay. And then, so I wrapped it around a few times, just nice and snuggly. Snuggly. Now I'm just gonna tie this here again. This was the piece of the twine that was the end. So I'm just gonna tie that together again, just to give myself a nice anchor there. I should have painted my nails for this. Okay, tie it again. Just tie it up, knot it up. Lots of knots. Ugh, fingers are clumsy today. I have not made Lei in so long. We got here in December, on Boxing Day, December 26th, and I haven't had any of my stuff. I've just been waiting for everything. So it's been a little weird because I've just been like out of sorts. I love making Lei. It's really kind of enjoyable and meditative, and you wind up with something beautiful, and to not be able to do that very often is, you know, you have to just wait it out. Okay, so I got 3 main kinds of flowers here. I have 1, I have 2, I have 3. And another thing about flowers like this, I have a feeling these petals are gonna shed a lot. Oh well, it's okay. That's what was there. They're pretty, they're fine, you know. We love you anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna take 1 flower. Let's see. I'm gonna take 1 flower and I'm gonna hold it onto the base with my thumb. So you can see that can you see that? See, I'm holding it onto the base with my thumb, and now I'm wrapping the twine around the stem of the flower. You want to go as close to the base of the flower itself as you can, but you don't want to push on the base because you don't want to encourage the flower to pop off the stem, because obviously then you don't have your flower on your stem that's part of your Lei. So you want to keep it, so I wrap it usually like for a big flower like this, maybe like 3 times. Okay, and I always say you want to wrap it snug, but you don't want to like yank it or pull it really tight, because you can crush the stem and your flower will pop off the stem, and that's not what you want. So your flower's gonna pop off the stem at least a little bit. You just gotta be okay with that. Okay, now I'm gonna take another flower and go ahead and put it right behind the other one, and then wrap the twine again a few times around that. You can use most anything. Again, this is unconventional materials. You just want to make sure that you're thinking about your own comfort and all that. So I've got my 1 flower, 2 flower. Now I'm going to do one of these. So whatever your flowers are, however you're doing it, you just want to try to like make sort of a pattern for yourself and stick to that pattern if you can. And that way your Lei will look nice and even. Okay. All right, so I'm wrapping the twine. Ugh, look, see, I can already tell this is gonna be annoying. These are gonna get all tangled. So I'm gonna have to come up with a better system of twisting and everything. Okay, I'm up on this side. There we go. So I'm wrapping the twine around like every 3 times or so, and you just want to try to keep things as snug and close together as possible, and try to let them support each other. All right, so here is where I would normally take something like my leaves, these like leaves to kind of help support. The thing about these leaves that I'm noticing is that they're becoming really floppy. So I don't want them to stick out like this because they're just going to flop over and look really wilted and dull really fast. And that's going to make your lei look sad. And so I'm just going to leave these in the back because another thing that I'm kind of worried about using this twine is that it's going to be scratchy on my head. So I want it to be kind of comfortable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this leaf back there behind, so that it's kind of creates a background for it without the leaves sticking out. If you're doing this with things like ferns or tea leaves, those stay a lot longer, which is great, and those stay looking really, you know, strong and beautiful without needing to do much to them, which is perfect because they just provide they look really beautiful in your lei. Okay. All right, so as you can see, you see this green leaf back here, and then you see the twine starting here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap a bunch more flowers, and then I'm going to put another leaf over, and then the idea is that the end of that leaf is going to cover up this twine here. So hopefully by the time I'm done, you basically mostly only see leaves back here, and this is what's touching your head so that it's more comfortable for you to wear. I'm just hoping, since I don't have any small like filler flowers or leaves, I'm hoping that I have enough flowers, but we'll just see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So here I'm starting my pattern over again. Here's my pink flower. Get out of there. Okay. I'm wrapping. Yeah, see, I can already tell that this leaf is breaking back there. But it's not, it's okay because it's going to be covered. Also, since I'm adding leaves to the back, I don't have to worry too much about it looking really, looking too clean. So like, normally I want this twine to be completely stacked right up against it. This is really sloppy, but again, this is unconventional materials and I'm just doing this, so whatever. But if I was making this for something more serious, then I would take the time to make sure that my twine that is stacked right up on, it's a nice neat, a super neat row like this, one right after another, right after another. This would not be something that I would use, that I would do for like a show lei or something that was for a more serious occasion, other than me just wanting to make something pretty for myself. So yeah, that's my caveat there. So again, I'm putting a leaf back there to cover up all that messiness that we've created. Okay, so as you can see, how that leaf is covering, and it's also, this is what this soft leaf is going to touch my head instead of this scratchy twine. Okay, let's get another one of our big old pink bad boys over here. Again, wrapping it like 3 times. Make sure you can make sure you're using your thumb and your fingers to keep your flowers close together. because you want to really kind of push them all close together. If you don't have them close enough, then when you actually put it on and it goes around the curvature of your head, then you're going to see gaps. So you want to really make sure that they're close together. Let's get one of our white guys over here. And push them close together. Again, the point here is just that it doesn't matter what your skill level is, and it doesn't matter what, whatever is around you. Don't let it stop you from making something pretty and making something for yourself, and just appreciating what you have around you available. There's always something. You could just make this out of leaves. You could just make this out of, I don't know, anything. You can make it out of anything. Let's get a purple one. So another thing that I like to look for support flowers that are strong and that are pretty basic, that you can use alongside, because if you have flowers that are more like kind of like bigger or brighter, or they're kind of like the star of the lei that you're making, then you have these other more basic flowers that can support the weight of it. So that way, once your lei your whole lei can work together to support each other. Does that make sense? Like if you have a lei that you're making that has a lot of larger flowers in it, you want to make sure that all the flowers are sitting together and kind of pushing each other. They're kind of hugging each other together, and that helps to keep your lei together. It helps keep your flowers stronger so that they don't fall out. Having smaller flowers to do that is really helpful. So normally I would love to have a bunch of smaller, more basic flowers to do that with, but I don't have any right now because that just wasn't in the cards. Okay, make sure you're staying on top of this. Don't let it get tangled. Don't let it get away from you because it'll be a big pain. All right, keep going. So this is usually a process that will take me about, I'd say, one lei po'o, depending on what I'm using, and just depending on the circumstances, I would average it takes me about 2 hours to make one. Um, if I'm making a longer lei, and this is just this specific type of lei, there are so many different ways to make lei. There are, obviously there's stringing the lei on using a needle and fishing line or heavy duty thread. There's also sewing your flowers to something, sewing your flowers to a base. These are all different kinds of lei that have different techniques and they give you different looks. But for this one, a lei bili like this, where I'm wrapping it, usually takes me about maybe 2 hours or so. And then, so if you need to get up during that time, and you're worried about it, make sure that you don't let it unravel. So what I like to have around is, again, I don't have any right now because all my stuff is not here, but usually like those, I think they're called alligator clip or like binder clips. Have some of those standing by because you can always just clip the bottom of your lei using one of those binder clips, and then that's helpful, and then you're good. Another thing I want to say is try and make sure that you're keeping it straight. I can already see mine is getting a little bit wonky here and there. Try and make sure you're keeping the flowers relatively straight as you're going. If you don't pay attention to that as you go and try to put some concentration on that, then you're going to get a lot of bends and twists in your lei that's going to make it hard to lei right on your head. And it's even harder if you're making a longer lei like this that you're gonna wear around your neck, then or somebody else is, then it's even harder to keep it straight. It'll twist around. So try and keep it nice and straight if you can. And then also just remember that when you're making lei are like people. None of them are perfect. So, but that's also what makes them beautiful. You're never gonna make a lei the exact same lei the same way. Especially if you're someone like me who I like to just make it based on what I can find around me. Before living in New Zealand, we were in Los Angeles, and I would go to the flower market and just see what's there at the flower market. So sometimes people would ask me to make them a lei for something specific, and they would ask me for super, super specific materials, and I'd go, okay, well, I could try, but also that's not really what I do. I'm not like a flower wholesaler where I can just source whatever I want. I just need to go and kind of see what's there and see what's available and see what kind of looks strong and beautiful and is in season, and that is going to make a better lei than if I just try to get exactly what kind of flowers you want and then, just kind of try to force them in there even if they're not in very good shape. So, however you want to do this is up to you, but just remember that none of your lei are going to be perfect, and that's okay because none of us are perfect, but we're all still beautiful and wonderful, and so are our lei. What matters is that you're spending time making something that is gorgeous, and you're spending time with these things that are so beautiful that are around us and appreciating them and getting to know them. When you're spending time with these things that are growing around us, then you're building a relationship with the things that are around you. It's beautiful. So you can see how floppy my leaves are getting back there. That's okay. Whatever. Do your thing, leaves. Okay. I'm gonna keep... I do like the flowers angled a little bit more to the side, so these ones that are nice and flat I'm not gonna try to keep making those do that because I don't actually love that. I want them to kind of all stick out different directions and face different directions because I think it's more interesting. I'm sitting here on the floor doing this. If you're sitting at it, there's different ways. I'd like to make more videos of doing lei and different with other kinds of materials. A, because it'll make me make more lei, which is always a good thing in my life. And B, because I can show you different ways of doing things. If you're sitting at a table, what I like to do is I'll anchor I'll anchor this part of it by tying it or sticking it onto like a hanger and putting that hanger on the back of a chair. And that can kind of help me keep this straight and tight as I'm going. But if you're not doing that, like I'm not doing that now, then you just have to keep trying to make sure you're keeping it straight as you go. So just be careful. Don't sleep on that because you will regret it. She's looking so pretty. I think it's easy with any kind of craft to tell ourselves like, oh, I don't have the right stuff, so I just can't do it. I guess this is just not for me. But that's not the truth. You could do it with whatever you could find. And then it just takes a little bit of practice. It takes some patience. It takes some, just trying your best. And your best is good enough. Again, if you have access to things like tea leaves or ferns, then that's ideal because you can use a lot of those to really, they really add a lot of strength to your lei, and they can really support a lot of flowers, and they look just so beautiful, especially if you're doing something like a more kind of Tahitian style. It's like much bigger and just ferns sticking out everywhere. That's so gorgeous. I want ferns. We'll see. We'll see if we can find some once these lockdowns are over. This is such a beautiful thing to do too. It's a nice distraction and it smells so good. And then you'll have this in your fridge sitting there. You can wear it around your house. Make sure as you go that you're not using all the biggest flowers first. I mean, it might seem obvious, but it's something you want to keep in mind as you go, that you're like selecting a big flower and then a small flower in terms of each individual. So like for these pink ones, I'm not going to use all the big pink ones first because I'm going to have a whole bunch of big pink ones at the beginning of my lei, and as I go around they're going to get smaller. Instead, I use a big pink one and then I look for a smaller pink one and then a bigger pink one each time I get around to the pink. These white ones are mostly all pretty much the same size, so I don't have to worry so much about that. But you just want to make sure you're just kind of thinking about that as you go. There are lots of other lei tutorials um, out there with different techniques and different materials, and you can learn something from all of them. Kuana Torres Kahele has a DVD called Make Lei, which is really awesome. So you should try to get that if you can. If you're interested in more different types of lei, then you can learn a lot. There's all these people who they have a lot more years experience than I do. My goal really is here to, I want you to just do it. I want you to just do it find something around you that you can use and make something. But there are a lot of other uh, lei masters out there that have just some pretty incredible resources and tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff, so you can go down the rabbit hole with that. But in the meantime, I just want you to make something. So I just want you to make something with me, make something for Lei Day. Have a little photo shoot in your backyard. Make a little video with your Ori sisters, which is what we're doing. This twine is working well. I like it. It's real nice and strong. And what's cool is like it looks like a natural material, so if you see it peeking out anywhere, it's not going to look out of place or weird. You always have those like sections of your lei where you are just like on a roll, where it's looking really good, and you're like, yeah, yeah. Why can't the rest of it look like that? Whatever. You're always gonna have little spots where you're like, what happened there? And these other little spots that are totally killing it. So, again, it's like all of us, it's gonna be different every time you do it, and no part of your lei is wrong. It's just a little different spot. So it's like all little aspects of your lei's personality. Just let it be what it's gonna be. embrace all of it. The parts that you think aren't as full as you would have liked, the parts that are, you know, embrace it all, just like you should embrace yourself. If you're using, right now this is going kind of fast, I'm using big flowers, that's why. Again, normally I like to use more smaller flowers in there because it just ends up giving it looks a lot more dynamic, and I just like how it looks better. But this is what we have today, so this is what we're making today. And the bonus of that is it's fast. Oops. You can measure your head if you're making a lip like I am. Then you can measure your head in advance, and then you can kind of have that. You can keep measuring it as you go. I didn't do that beforehand. Well, I sort of did. I took the other side of the pantyhose and I like made a little reference for myself. But you can always just try it on. Again, get your binder clip and just hold it so that it's. I kind of tied off the pantyhose to see, make sure it's not stretched. So you can see we're getting close here. I like to do over rather than less, and we're also running out of pantyhose, but again, it's stretchy, so I'll have more to tie. So I'm probably going to do like maybe another 2 sets of flowers. Ooh, we didn't run out of flowers, guys. That's good. I probably have enough for like another. Ooh, I bet I have. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try to make another kind of lei too. I'm gonna try to make a lei ku'i, which is a pierced lei with these. I bet that'll be pretty. Ooh, and then maybe I'll wear both. How fabulous. Okay. Maybe just one set. Maybe that's all we got room for with our little pantyhose that we have left. Okay. All right, let's put one more leaf back there. Did I break it? Maybe. Well. Oh well. Look at our pretty lei. Gorgeous. All right, I've gotten to the end. Now I want to tie it off. So the way that I do this is it's just something that I just started doing myself. Um, I think and I've found that it holds really strong. So first of all, wrap your twine or whatever you're using a whole bunch of times around this last. Looking, how's the back looking? Remember, try to keep it straight. Every step of the way, just try and keep straightening it. There's ways to like give it some curve, especially if you're making a longer lei that's meant to be worn around the neck. You can give it a curve so that it will lay flat on someone's shoulders. But we're making a head lei and all that, so that's fine. All right, so hope you can see this. I wrapped it a whole bunch around there. Now I'm gonna take it and I'm just gonna I'm gonna make a big loop so that I can tie it to itself. So I just made a big loop. Now I'm gonna wrap it a bunch of times again. Okay, and this is where, since you're just wrapping it around itself, this is where you can make it really tight and not have to worry about breaking anything. So now I'm going to cut it, but I'm going to cut it long because you can always trim it. So cut it really long. And so now I've got this loop here, and then have this long thing. So what I'm gonna do with these two is these two pieces, I'm gonna tie them together. Okay, getting really tight, tight again. Oof, clumsy fingers. There we go. And since this twine is, I'm just going to go ahead and tie it again. This twine is really strong, so that's awesome. Tie it a bunch of times and not worry about, you know, thread breaking or something. Okay. All right. So take a look at it. If you feel like it looks strong and you can trust it, then you can go ahead and cut it. If not, go ahead and wrap it more times. Tie it again. There's no, you know, there's no wrong answers there. Just do it as many times as you can, as you want to. All right. There is our lei. Okay. Ta-da! Alrighty, so here's our finished lei. Pantyhose and all. Isn't she pretty? You can see the back. It's not perfect, but again, we're not going for perfection here. But you can see how the leaves line the back like this. And for the most part, they don't just cover up. I mean, it's not that big of a deal for them to cover up the twine because you're not going to see this part anyway. But really this is for so that it's not scratchy. You can see that some of the leaves are falling apart. That's okay because again, they're not meant to be seen. They're just meant to provide some cushion back there so that when I am wearing it, then it's not scratching. It can stay comfortable. All right, so when I put it on, I can kind of mess with it, make sure I've got the right length, and then I'm going to tie it. So putting it on here, looks like that fits pretty good. So I'm going to take the ends of my pantyhose. I'm going to go ahead and just tie them off. If you can, and leave it sort of so that you're not like committing to this, then that would be great because sometimes I'll wear a lei and then I'll give it to somebody and then it needs to be resized, or sometimes it's not the right size for me. Also, I don't really know how these pantyhose are gonna if they're gonna stretch out or something weird like that. Okay, and then so now I just tied them back there. Now I have my beautiful lei. Yes, I love it. All right. Look for our video for our Lei Day video that's gonna come in a few days, and she'll featuring this fabulous queen right here and my other Odi sisters with Te Aho Nui. And if you have any, if you make your own lei, please comment below what you used. What did you find around the house, or if you've made lei before, whatever. Thank you so much for joining me. Mahalo nui loa, and I hope you make something today. All right, bye.